Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we're focusing all our energy on a brilliantly minimalist yet honestly profoundly weighty piece of source material. We're looking at just three little words: the law of attraction. Sometimes the absolutely most intricate, compelling philosophical ideas are just hiding right in plain sight, wrapped up in the simplest phrases. So for the next few minutes, we're going to treat this exact phrase as our entire universe. We're really going to dig into the linguistic and conceptual depths of these specific words, just to see exactly how much meaning can be packed into such a tiny piece of text.
Okay, let's just dive right into the absolute foundation of our textum, law of attraction. I want you to really think about those three words for a second. We hear them grouped together so often in pop culture that honestly, they've kind of become a cliche, right? Just a single blurred idea that we tend to gloss right over. But if we strip away all that external noise, the self-help books, the endless internet hype, and we just look at the raw text, we're left with this completely fascinating juxtaposition. It's literally a tiny, self-contained paradox that has somehow captured the imagination of millions of people all over the globe. So let's not take it for granted. Let's actually read it, respect the words, and get ready to unpack exactly what's going on inside this little phrase.
Section 1. Deconstructing the words. The immutable meets the magnetic. To truly understand this phrase, we've got to split it apart and map out the tension right in the middle of it, because it's not one smooth, continuous concept. Actually, it's two incredibly powerful, almost totally opposing linguistic forces, just bolted together by the tiny word of. Okay, on one hand, we have law. When you hear the word law, what immediately pops into your head? You're probably thinking of gravity, right? Or physics, thermodynamics, or maybe even a legal courtroom. A law implies a rigid rule. It implies absolute certainty, structure, and immutability. It's something that happens whether you believe in it or not, whether you're even aware of it or not. It's cold, it's structured, and it is completely unyielding. But then, on the other hand, we have attraction. Now, this word carries an entirely different emotional and literal weight. Attraction implies this dynamic, active pull. It's magnetism, it's chemistry, the active drawing of things together across a space. It feels alive, subjective, and superfluid. So you have the ultimate rigidity of a law, basically colliding head-on with the vibrant, pulling energy of attraction. So how in the world do these two totally disparate linguistic components actually fuse into a singular, thought-provoking philosophical artifact? Well, this phrase is the exact intersection of absolute rule and drawing power. Just think about what that actually means when you lock those two ideas together. If a pulling force, an attraction, is suddenly elevated to the status of a law, it completely changes the entire nature of that pull. It suggests that this magnetism isn't just random. It suggests that drawing things toward yourself isn't just some chance occurrence, a lucky break, or some whimsical desire, but a guaranteed structural mechanism of reality itself. By putting these specific words together, the source material is essentially claiming that the dynamic, fluid nature of attraction operates with the cold, hard certainty of gravity. That is a stunningly bold linguistic claim. It's taking a fluid force and presenting it as an unbreakable fact. Section 2. The final takeaway. Turning the phrase outward. Now, we've got to ask ourselves why this linguistic collision actually matters and how it applies directly to you. Because, let's face it, understanding a phrase structurally is really only half the journey. The other half is recognizing how a concept like this, the idea of an absolute, unbreakable rule of magnetic pull, can act as this profound lens through which we view our own lives, our actions, and our environments. How does the interaction between a rigid law and a dynamic attraction actually shape your perspective on reality? Think about it. If you operate under the assumption that your thoughts, your focus, or your energy have a magnetic quality, that's the attraction part, and that this magnetism operates with absolute, unbreakable certainty, the law part, how does that change your daily choices? It completely reframes how you look at the world, doesn't it? It challenges you to look at your circumstances not as just a series of random, chaotic events that happen to you, but potentially as the result of an ongoing, immutable pulling force. Whether you accept it as a literal, universal truth, or you just view it as a really compelling psychological framework to focus your mind, the sheer structure of the phrase basically forces you to reevaluate your own agency and power. We conclude our explainer today by coming full circle, returning to the exact same three words we started with. But hopefully these words look just a little bit different to you now. They aren't just a cliche anymore. They're this complex intersection of the unyielding and the magnetic. We want to leave you with the sheer, unadulterated power of the phrase itself. It's such a fantastic reminder of how much depth, tension, and philosophical weight can exist in the simplest of texts when we actually take the time to meticulously break them down. I invite you to continue exploring this juxtaposition, Meditate on this fascinating intersection of immutable rule and dynamic pull, and just see what it draws into your own life. What are you pulling toward yourself, and are you treating it as a rule? Keep questioning, keep analyzing, and as always, keep learning.